What is up, you people at Tube? Follow it here finally to talk about Hypefest Station, to wrap up my thoughts about the event. To start, first off, what a successful event, guys. First time Microsoft has been involved. First time Black Tusk has been involved. So those two key players right there make this hands down the most important and successful event we've ever had. Such a big deal, and I just want to say, obviously the event was very successful. We hit about the 1.5 or 1.6K viewership mark, and for a 3-year-old game that everyone calls dead, I think that's an accomplishment. So great job to the people involved in organizing. Of course, you guys have heard all the praise. Make sure to follow those guys on Twitter. Most importantly, follow at Hypefest Station on Twitter. But more importantly, great job to the community. I mean, honestly, it was you guys ultimately that helped us get the viewership, that got people excited, got people rallying, which is awesome. So I wanted to take some time to wrap up the event. I want to keep this as short as possible, so I'm not talking for like 30 minutes or something ridiculous. But obviously, a couple of important things to talk about. I think we've said enough about the success, about the future of the community, what we need to do. So without further ado, I really just want to jump into the quote-unquote controversy going on and the dispute, I guess, in regards to the event. What happened in the middle of the event, etc. So first and foremost, guys, Strangulate just had a tweet. I'm trying to find it here again. That was spot on. I want you guys to realize at the end of the day, ultimately, it is a community-organized event, and at the end of the day, Hypefest Station really is just doing something for the community, and I wish you guys realized that, and that doesn't mean it can be unprofessional or it can be teams can get cheated or certain things, but, the heavy criticism, the very rude, demeaning, personal comments, that's just immature in a lot of ways, guys, because ultimately everyone that's organizing, they're all good people and they're doing it for the good of their community out of the goodness and kindness of their heart. So I agree, be passionate about what's right. I'm a big believer in justice, so try and chase justice as much as you possibly can, but you don't have to do it in a way that is absolutely demeaning or rude, quite frankly. So that's how I want to start, but obviously the big topic in hand is the Notorious versus Vision match. Okay, so I want to start by prefacing, and a lot of people have been expecting this video to kind of hear the other side, the whole story, and that's essentially what I want to do. But I want to start by prefacing and saying I entirely agree. Personally, as a member of Hypefest Station staff, as a quote-unquote voting member, if that's not necessarily how we did it, but as a quote-unquote voting member, my personal opinion is that in the loser's bracket, there should not be a continuation series. It should be treated as an individual, separate match, and I don't understand why there is a continuation series. So that's my opinion. I'm not sure if you guys remember, if you guys were watching the stream, you can go back and watch the rebroadcast. I was actually in the middle of commentating with Nasty, where I realized the score changed on the screen on the overlay, that it said 3-2 in favor of Vision, and I said, wait a minute. No, there shouldn't be a continuation series. That's not how MLG does it anymore. That's not right. So I got up and I went to war for Notorious and trying to, discuss. But ultimately, I actually agreed with the ruling, and here is why. Okay, so what I want you guys to do is close your eyes real quick and wipe your brain completely clear of whatever preconceived ideas, thoughts, opinions that you have, and try as hard as you can to be open-minded and understanding of both sides of argument, okay? The one side of argument, which is the side that like I said, I agree on, that it should not be a continuation, says, and honestly, it just comes down to the fact it's a way of thinking. It's the way your mind pieces things together. Both are actually logical in the way it works. You can't say logic goes one way or another. That's what I was trying to argue at first, and I realized logic isn't really the question at hand. Both sides of the argument make sense, just the way your mind thinks, right? The side that is against continuation in loser's bracket says, I look at things as individuals. I look at one match, and I look at another match, and they are two separate matches, and they should not be considered the same. Okay, which I think is the right way to do it, especially in loser's bracket for time's sake, whatever. The other way of thinking, and if you disagree, I want you to try and understand it, is that Notorious got 3-0'd by Vision the day before. Then they would have 3-0'd Vision, so it would have been tied 3-3. So overall series. So basically this way of thinking groups things together as one big, they kind of see big picture and general picture as opposed to as individual pieces, right? And it's just a way of thinking. It's philosophy essentially, right? Vision would have gotten sent home with a 3-3 tie, when ultimately does that make the utmost sense, right? Or if you think another example, let's say in that second best of 5 series in the loser's bracket, Vision lost 3-2. Then Vision would be going home in the tournament even though they were up 5-3 in maps against Notorious. Okay? That is the other way of thinking. Either way, That's irrelevant. I just want to explain for some people that maybe don't understand the other logical way of thinking. I wanted to explain that. That is all irrelevant. The reason that the continuation was decided and Jason Barbosa made this decision to screw over Notorious, no, that's not the case at all. The reason that Hype Fest Station went with the ruling, sorry, I apologize. The reason Hype Fest Station went with the ruling with what they did is because back in the day of Gears of War MLG days, MLG actually, that's how they ran their tournaments, okay? I played in 2 matches at MLG tournaments. One was at a national championships in Las Vegas in 2008, where there was a continuation in the losers bracket the same exact way. Okay, that's how MLG used to do it. It wasn't until about a year and a half or 2 years ago that MLG actually decided to flip-flop and change their ruling, which is why in Call of Duty tournaments that does not happen. A lot of you guys said, oh, I talked to Nameless, I talked to all these Call of Duty players. They said it should not be that case. But it's not anymore, but MLG used to have it the other way. When Gears of War got dropped from the circuit in 2009, 2010, that was the ruling, okay? So when Hype Fest Station was created, we went with that ruling. I was a part of a match personally at Hype Fest Station 2 where we did continuation in the losers bracket, okay? So at Hype 2, we did continuation because we carried on from MLG. We didn't know any different. At Hype Winter Brawl 8, the same scenario went up from LOX versus Synergy. Synergy, of course, came back and beat LOX even though they were down 3-0. We went with those rulings. And then in the middle of Hype Fest Station 3, people are saying, wait a minute, we shouldn't be doing continuation. But how could we not do continuation if that's what we did the previous 2 events and we never verbally claimed a change in ruling, which is the truth. We never changed it. That was the precedent, was that we did continuation because we did it at Winter Brawl 8. We did it at Hype 2. I believe there was one match at Hype 1 where we did it as well, and then all of our MLG years we did it. So that was set as the precedent, and if it was never verbally officially changed, how could you in the middle of a tournament change a ruling that we've had set in our rules for 3 years now, or 2 years since Hype Fest Station 2 occurred, okay? So that is ultimately what it was. Both ways are equally logical and equally make sense. It's just a way of what you think, but realize it wasn't screwing over Notorious. It wasn't favoring the old school vets and Vision. It was because that was the way that was in our rule set, our precedented rule set for Hype 2. For Winter Brawl 8, we did continuation. So how could we change in the middle of the tournament when Vision went into that match saying, okay, franchises competed every Hype Fest Station event. Franchise and Vision went into that match saying, okay, it is a continuation. They started it with a continuation in mind. You can't change the ruling in between something is what it was. When I reached out to Barbosa said, stop the match. We're going to discuss this right now. He was actually in favor of changing it. He agrees there should not be a triple, whatever you guys have been saying. He agrees that there should not be a continuation in the losers bracket, but because we didn't change that ruling, and we had that ruling before, there's no way you have to be transparent, and there's no way you can there's no way you can change a ruling in the middle of a tournament when every tournament prior has had that. And that was ultimately the arguing and the reasoning behind why the continuation was continued. Don't say MLG has never done it. I'm telling you right now. MLG had continuation series from 2005 to 2011, I believe. They did continuation series in losers bracket, just like we did at Hype Fest Station. I believe they changed that ruling with Call of Duty in the last year or 2. I think for time purposes, it just takes a long time in losers bracket because both sides of the argument do make sense. So, ultimately, is it right? Is it fair that we had this whole commotion and Notorious had to stop while they were on fire? And that is unfair to Notorious. I wish they could have kept rolling. And I wish we had better. The biggest thing at the end of the day is the referees, right? Hype Fest Station, we have 3 or 4 staff members that are committed full time, working hard. All the other referees, it depends what event we have, right? Every event we have different referees reffing each match. That is the ultimate problem. If we had money to pay refs to come to events, MLG refs get paid $300 plus, and then food, and then some to go to referee every MLG event consistently. We have new refs that don't understand necessarily, don't know the rules, don't know how things were the event before. Every event we have brand new staff and refs helping us out, and that's why Subject Matters, who was reffing the match, did not clearly lay out and say, look, this is going to be a continuation series. Here are the 11 maps you're going to play if it gets to that point. It was never clearly defined, which it should have been. So that is another mistake. But ultimately that's the flaw of the organization is that we're nonprofit. We don't pay our staff. There's nothing we can do. So I wish you guys could understand that. It's a lot of money that we don't have, that we're dishing out of our own pockets, and especially Barbosa. And the last thing I want to end with, so like I said, one, it was the precedented rule from previous events. We couldn't change that. And then 2, referees. Unfortunately, we have inconsistent refs that haven't been around since 2007 and don't know the rules and don't know what reffing an MLG tournament is like, right? 3, I want to end it with, guys, please, and I'm begging you, reach out to Barbosa. If you have been rude, if you've been hurtful, reach out, he's not asking for an apology by any means. I'm telling you, from my heart to yours, he is down right now. This guy hates injustice more than anyone I've seen. I talked to him in the parking lot for about an hour and a half before I drove home at night, and he is so down right now because he feels terrible. He really does. And he puts his heart out. He puts his finances out. He puts everything on the table to do this for you guys. And he feels terrible that these players feel cheated, that they went to this event. That is his number one thing. He talks about it all the time, that he wants to make sure it is a good, worthwhile event for these players attending. And he feels terrible to the point that he's questioning if he wants to continue. He's questioning if he wants to be the one at the top of the ring and making decisions, because at the end of the day, someone has to be pointed to make that final decision, right? And that person is going to take a lot of heat, and you guys are pointing to him as he's at fault. It's his, no. If you guys were there, if you guys knew the situation, he wasn't the one that was heavily deciding or leaning towards one way or another. But he's honestly questioning if he should continue for that purpose. So a man can only take so much. He puts his heart on the line for these events. He puts his life on the line for these events. And it'd be a damn shame if he was no longer involved or not at the helm. I guarantee these events wouldn't happen. I'm going to say it right now. So if you want to see a Summer Jam, if you want to see future Heffa Station events, guys, reach out to him and please take back your words. From me to you, I'm begging you guys. He's a great person, and he did not deserve the cruelty that was given towards him or directed his way from some people in the community and whatever. So, hope that kind of explains the thought process behind it. It wasn't a game time decision. Okay, which one is more logical? I think if we would have went with which one makes more sense, which one's more fair, and we would have made the decision there, it would have been no continuation losers bracket. No, but it wasn't that. There's more to that, in that we've had previous events where that continuation rule has been live, and it wouldn't make any sense to say, oh, we never clearly verbally claimed that we're going to change the rule. But right now in the middle of the tournament, we're going to change the way we've done things for the past 7 years in the Gears of War community. It's something we need to talk about moving forward. And moving forward, Kyle actually reached out to me, and hats off to Notorious. Seriously, guys, Notorious has been absolutely amazing understanding. It's actually the community that's getting riled up. So if Notorious isn't even that, verbally, physically upset, they understand. They understand. They do. And Kyle reached out to me, I totally understand, why it happened, being very mature. And these kids are 15 years old. I have so much respect for all the whole Notorious squad. Don't get me started on that. But Kyle said, I understand the thought process, but moving forward, is it okay if we talk about it to see if we can change it moving forward? And I said, yes, entirely. In fact, I'm going to make sure that rule does get changed personally. So, thank you. I hope that helps to explain that issue, that topic at hand. Gears of War community, thank you guys for being involved. Like I said, big things planned. Emails back and forth with Sundance have been amazing. Conversations with Black Tusk have been amazing. I don't know much yet. I'm never going to be that guy that's I know so much, I'm not going to tell you guys any of it. I don't know that much yet, but I know there is something cooking. And hopefully we get more information soon as it relates to Gears of War and esports. So get excited, guys. Either way, great event. You can't look at the one piece, the one negative. There's going to be a negative with everything, and you can't harp on that. You have to harp on the positive instead, which is really what we need right now as a community. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for tuning in this weekend. I appreciate it. Much love, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.